Hello. I'm just having a look at who we've got joining the group. You can hear me all right, Jennifer?
I can hear you,
I can
yes.
hear you perfectly. Um, Let me see if we've got people here. I'd love to see where you're from. If you want to type in the chat, let us know where you're from. It's not at all awkward starting the very first. Oh, we have people. I thought you weren't here. I see someone I know from Taranaki. Hey, Steph.
Wow,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, okay, now you're all here. So the hesitation I just had there, everybody, is because obviously we can't see you. You can see us. I'm like, nobody's here. But look at you all. Wow. Okay, there's Bridget from Stratford Libraries. Welcome everybody. So we're just gonna give, we love early birds. We'll just give just a little bit of time for everybody else to join. Um, wow, Hoodinui Libraries. This is awesome.
That's so
So
cool.
I am multitasking with both being deeply invested in talking to our guest tonight and also making sure that you will get the chance to ask your questions that you're dying to ask. One of the things for you early birds that you're going to get to help decide for tonight is when it comes down to spoilers. Now, my approach to this kind of chat is that you've all read the book, you've all read A Beautiful Family, and therefore it's okay for us to get into the nitty-gritty of like, what was that ending? And let's talk about it. But if you wouldn't mind like popping into the chat if you haven't, or if you're like, no spoilers, and we can take a sort of um, majority rules on this. See, from the Kapiti Coast, right? There you go. Yes, read it, need to know all this stuff. Okay, well, that gets heavy weighting because it was first. Yes, read it, fabulous. Okay, that's 3 for 3. I read it, spoil away. Yes, you know what? Everybody else is gonna have to. We apologize if we ruin it.
Yeah, spoiler
Um,
alert.
Spoiler it, because I was saying to Jennifer that it's a rare occasion for us authors to be able to talk to each other and to talk to readers without having to be so kind of opaque and like don't spoil it,
Mm.
because often when you're sort of out on the road, this road show that you do when a book is published,
Mm.
you are in front of people who are going to buy the book at the end and you're going to sign it. And it's a, so that's its own strange thing, exciting, but you don't want to sit up there and tell them like the big twist because that's part of the fun for the readers. So almost finished, but need to know.
Yeah, someone said
Marcel,
they've almost finished. Oh no.
almost finished. Oh, like, no problem with spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna go with spoilers. That's an amazing response. And for those of you who have almost finished, actually, I think some of your answers, Jennifer, will be really interesting anyway. I don't think
I
it's
hope so.
necessarily a prescriptive ending to the novel. So I don't, I'm just having a look at how many people we've joined. 42. I'm going to give it one more minute, 7:35.
Hmm.
And then we are going to get going officially. But for all of you watching, listening, this is an opportunity for you to, once we get going, then I'll catch up here, is to write any of the questions that you've been dying to ask. And I will absolutely do my best to catch those questions and ask them. So I'm not just hogging the conversation, but I've come quite prepared. One thing that would make it super easy for me on this very first Libby Reads for Aotearoa is put like an emoji or something if you have a question. Like, doesn't matter what one, but it'll help me like see that it stands out, even a heart or something. So let's try that. And I think we might actually, well, yeah, we'll get started because we've got an hour, and I know that you, Jennifer, are on a bit of a deadline or a timeline at the moment. So
Yes.
welcome everybody to the launch of the Libby Reads Aotearoa, or Libby Reads with Jacqueline Bublitz, the the first of many. Here's hoping that you'll all be able to join us each month on a Wednesday, well, where we get to, like I said, it's a unique kind of chat because you actually get to ask the author
Mm.
these questions when you've actually read the book. And so we're going to get straight in. And one thing I want to say to you, Jennifer, I don't think I need to give you much of an introduction, because I think most of the people here, if not all, know you and know your book. But I did just see that you've just been shortlisted for the NZ Book Lovers Award for Best Adult Novel. Yeah, so that was like just a couple of
Yeah,
days
yeah,
ago.
yeah, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
It's really exciting, and the
Hmm.
beginning of kind of it's the beginning of awards season.
Oh
Uh,
God.
yeah, we're just like it's a strange phenomenon. And so
Yeah.
the book came out. This is from my research at least. It was released on the 5th of June, 2025.
Hmm. Hmm.
That was around the world on the same day.
Yeah, in June it came out. It was staggered, New Zealand first, and then England, and then America.
There's people saying congrats. Right. So how long did you have between each?
A couple of weeks between each release.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So just to
yeah.
clarify for our members here, we don't always have the same publisher across different territories, as they call them, or different countries. And so it can be a quite
Mm.
unique experience especially for a debut author, because you'll
Mm.
have different covers.
Yep.
You'll have different, oh, I'm getting a little bit of feedback there. Different covers, different editors sometimes that you're working with who
Yes.
might have
Yep.
very different. So your American editor might have some very interesting views on certain things, because
Mm.
of where they come from, and because it is so uniquely a Kiwi book as well as a universal story. We'll get into that a bit later, maybe about like how it's different working with Americans and working with
Hmm.
the UK. But normally when we start these kind of author interviews, and I know you've done quite a few now, you're coming up to a year, you're a veteran now, you're no longer a debut, like join the club now.
Yeah.
This is your job. Normally we would say, no, tell us about your book and give us the elevator pitch. We don't need to do that, because people know what the book
Sure.
is about. I know, because I don't know about
I'm
you,
not very
but
good at that. Yeah.
I suck. And I'm like,
Yeah, I
sometimes
really suck.
especially if I'm doing a live, and I think, I was going to swear then, but I think I don't know what I wrote. I don't know what it
No,
is,
I don't
because
know what it's about.
especially since when you're working on something else, and I've had to
Mm.
like park my
Mm.
characters. So that
Mm.
leads me to what I don't want to know about your book. I want to know about your day or your week so far, like, because I know a few things about where you're at. So if you want to let people know where you are at as an author, like right now.
Right now.
Hmm.
Right now. Okay. I am in the final stages of probably the second draft of book two. So I wrote book two, but I did something I've never done before, which I don't think I'm going to do again because I don't think it worked for me, which was that I went in without any kind of plan at all.
Ooh, okay, that's
Yeah,
the
and I
story of my life. But so that's not
right,
what
that's
you.
really not me. And I just decided to wing it and just write kind of freely. And I had a setting and I had a very like the germ of an idea, and I just wrote. And I wrote about 20,000 words in that way, but then I got really stuck because I didn't
Mm.
know where I was going. So I wrote a whole draft, which when I finished it, I realized
Oh, you
wasn't,
went the whole,
yeah,
okay. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
went to what, like 85,000 words. So
yeah,
this
yeah, but
is this is something,
yeah,
yeah, that
yeah.
I
And I
think.
realized I just took it in the wrong direction. You know, there's so many choices you make along the way with a novel, and I just wanted to go back to about 15,000 words and
Starting.
do it
So
again. And that's it.
same idea, and because I
Same
threw out a whole second book.
setting, same setting, same. I just should have spent a bit more time percolating, and I've learned that now. But um, yeah, everything changed. Like all of the circumstances that created the first novel changed, and everything was different. Suddenly, I didn't have a day job to go to, which I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky for that. But it does completely change the way you approach your work, the time you get to spend just perhaps with it churning away at the back of your brain, but not being the actual thing that you're doing. So I'm still
Yeah.
used to all of that.
Yeah, you use the word percolating, and I do as well, and excavating. And so
Yeah.
your experience at the moment, yeah, with your second book sounds very similar to mine. And I threw the whole thing out. I threw the whole thing out and started again. So we're really lucky to have you talking with us, given that you're on a slight deadline to deliver
Yeah.
something by the
Oh
end of the
yeah,
week.
I'm feeling good now, and I'm within days of hopefully giving it
Everybody,
about for a while. Yeah, it'll come back, and there'll be edits and things, but phew, yeah, we're getting there.
and are you, so yeah, so you not you were so I hate these terms. I need to come up with better terms, but it's sort of universally the whole the plotter and the pantser. So you've
The
always
pantser,
been
yeah,
so a
I've
pantser
always been a
being like that's me. I just make things up as I go and then
okay.
then panic about right before I can no longer do an edit. Whereas you have so with what ended up becoming a beautiful family, how I know it was put in a drawer for 3 years, and that's sort of the
Yeah.
law of this. So that's really cool and interesting. But I think there's more behind those. Like so
Hmm.
that book, that manuscript rather, that became this book that was in the drawer, how close is it to this?
Good question. Do you know, this is really embarrassing, but I can't really remember. The manuscript that went in the drawer is very similar to what you see now. No,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. It went in the drawer. I had spent ages on it, and I had just got to the point where I was unable to see it anymore. Um, and I didn't mean to put it in there for 3 years at all. I meant to put it in there for like 3 months, and I don't know what happened. So the manuscript that went in the drawer is very similar to what you see. My agent helped me uh, with an editing process, and then it goes through another editing process with your publishers, but they were quite light, really. However, I know that when I first started writing the book, there were scenes I wrote that are not there now, and I can't remember the decision to take them out. I can't remember.
But there
I
was
mean, it would have been excruciating at the time, but it's like childbirth. You just forget about all that.
sure, sure. And did we always have Alex? And like, so with my first novel, I always had Alice Lee. The others sort of came and went and sort of morphed different characters. But my central character, Alice, was, I found something the other day from 2014, the very first thing I wrote on a
Mm,
blog, which I hope nobody ever finds. Good luck if you can. And she's right there, like in 2014.
mm.
Obviously, the book didn't come out till
Yeah,
2021. So was
yeah,
Alex, he was there from the
yeah.
start?
Oh, yeah. And actually, the whole family were, like all the characters, Kahu as well. My husband actually found a notebook. I always work with notebooks. I always have a notebook on me, and I'm always scribbling ideas. And he found my notebook in his work drawer at work, which was really weird. But
Okay.
and you open it up, and there is Alex. Like my description of Alex is exactly this child, and she's 10, and she's in Waikanae, and she's obsessed with split ends, and that was really weird to see that. So no,
Yeah.
she was she didn't really change at all.
Amazing. And so is she, before I remember that it's something I need to tell the group, is she someone, Alex, that lives in your head still? And did she, or those 3 years when she's like left in a drawer,
Mm.
would she sort of come in and out, or is that just me? Like I come in and out of your consciousness. I really would love
No,
to know.
I couldn't quite forget about her. And Vanessa as well, the sister, I really liked that character. I enjoyed writing her. Um,
Yeah. Enjoyed
yeah,
reading
I have a
her.
lot of affection for Alex. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
so I just want to let everybody know, all of our attendees, that encourage you to shoot through your questions. And also at the end of this, there is a prize, a signed book for the best question of the evening. So get in there with your questions, ask away. Alex, Walkman and cassette made me feel so nostalgic. I know. I was listening. There's a reference to I Hope I Never. And I was like looking through the book today, and then I was like, I had to go and listen to that song.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
beautiful song.
it's just like the whole 80s vibe, and then I've got some questions about that as well. Can everybody hear me okay, by the way? I've got a little bit of feedback, reverb, I believe they would say if I was the singer I want to be. Yep, you can. Good. Thank you very much. Refreshing to read a book from a 10-year-old point of view. Loved it. What made you okay, this is from hope I get your pronunciation right. Pavi Griffiths. Refreshing to read a book from a 10-year-old point of view. Loved it. What made you choose that angle, and what were the challenges because they could definitely identify with
mm,
Alex's way of thinking,
mm,
which is right. Yeah,
mm,
what you're writing a
mm,
10-year-old who's both precocious
mm.
and very naive in some ways. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
tell us about crafting
Um,
that voice.
why did I choose that? I think, ooh, there were a few reasons. First of all, I was 10 in 1985 and I was on the Kapiti Coast, so it was a kind of natural place to start. I knew I wanted to write about a marriage, and I didn't really want to write about the marriage from the point of view of someone in it. I
Hmm,
just,
I like it.
I don't know if I wanted to go there at that time. A lot of people write about marriage, and it's something I enjoy reading about. But at the time, I just wanted to approach it from an outsider, because even within a family, a child is like an outsider in the marriage, and
Yeah.
you're watching your parents and trying to figure it out. So I think I was interested in that. And I knew that I could create, well, I hoped I could create a lot of tension between what Alex understands and what the reader
Yeah.
understands, the adult reader. And I thought that would be just really interesting to explore.
And I mean, one of the things I was really interested in was, yeah, how you found that balance. I mentioned as she's precocious in some ways,
Mm,
in the best meaning of the term. Like she, for example, and this is where we can start to get into, spoiler territory here. Like she realizes something's happening with her mother, and then Lucy's dad, right? And
yeah,
so she's got this awareness, and there's almost a calculated way that she sort of challenges her mum when she's going to get in trouble for
yeah,
blurting out about the Crystal
yeah,
and
yeah,
the mascara
yeah.
episode. At the
Hmm.
same time, there's certain words she doesn't know what suicide means. There's other, a bodily like anatomy. She's not sure of things. And how hard was it to get that balance? And how did you do that? Was it drawing on lots of your own sort of, this is where I was as a 10-year-old
I
and
think so. 10 is a great age, right? Because you are young enough that you can be in a room full of adults and they kind of ignore you and will talk around you and over you and perhaps not realize what you're picking up. And so you're privy to stuff that they might not say in front of a teenager. But then, you are actually old enough to understand quite a lot. I was very observant at 10 and I was always listening. And my parents didn't talk down to me. They didn't,
Mm.
that, yeah, they were pretty straightforward with me, but there were things that they would just never have discussed with me, like suicide. That was like a taboo word.
Mm.
And I mean, I don't think my mother could even bear to say it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you weren't watching soap operas like I was. I was Days of Our Lives at 10 was my favorite show.
Right. No,
So well, we would
no.
record it and watch it at night on our VCR, which we got when I was 7. So committed fan. So I think there was a lot that I learned, not from my parents, but from Roman Brady or something.
Yeah.
Like, so what kind of things were you watching at 10, before we get to some
Um, Gosh, pretty innocent stuff, I can't like Sesame Street. I don't know, I can't. We loved Chips and we loved
yeah.
we would watch everything we watched really was as a family, so it was all pretty
Yeah.
wholesome, like Our World and the Dog Show.
Oh my goodness, I love that. Right. And
Yeah,
and that shows there's Holtom's a good, I mean, Alex is not she's she's not that kind of annoyingly precocious or kind of
no, I
um
didn't want
that
to.
sort of sitcom
Yeah,
child or something. But
yeah,
there's an innocence. I said naivety, but there is an innocence which is lovely. And I was like, oh, I wish I didn't made me wish I didn't know quite as many things. But I have big sisters, you do as well.
I do. Yeah.
And we will get to some sister questions because I loved
Oh,
Vanessa as well. Just reading some comments. Yeah, the dad was definitely intriguing. He was so well formed. The dad, yeah, just reading people. See, everybody's loving it. This is like a real book club. I hope some of you have got wine. I would have had a glass of wine, but because I've been on a deadline as well, I might keel over if I drink before this is over. At the end, I very much will. So, this like we didn't learn Alex's. This is from Sue. We didn't learn Alex's name for quite a
I
while.
know, I know.
Was that
It's
a
terrible. I know.
was it just
It's terrible.
yeah.
That was just like that just happened, and I did realize partway through the novel, like I haven't given this kid a name, and then it became a little bit of a challenge to see how long I could keep that up. remember that I didn't know this book would ever be published. And
Uh,
I actually wrote the
it's
whole
that.
book and never gave her a name, and she didn't have a name in my head,
Hmm.
actually, which is bizarre. And then this is really a bizarre story, but I was sending it off for an assessment and I had to write a synopsis. And if you've
Oh,
ever tried to write a synopsis, you need to put everything important that happens in the book needs to go on one page. And you try doing that with no name of your main character. It's terrible. You have to keep saying the narrator and our narrator
the
and
later,
the
the
narrator.
10-year-old.
And it was
And
just terrible. And I sat there and I thought, I've got to give her a name.
yeah,
And in the book, Bob says at some point, no, I think Alex says that her name is not that uncommon, but she
the
doesn't spell it
spelling.
the usual
Yes.
way.
Which is gonna make sense when she sees the photographs and the names and the
Right. So I
yes.
thought, okay, what's a name that's not that uncommon, but you can spell it in a quite an uncommon way? And I have a very close friend whose name is Alex with an I. And I thought, okay, she's going to be Alex with an I. So it was all just very kind of, I don't really know why I did that. Although one of my favorite books of all time is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And that book has a main character who never gets a name
Yeah.
for pretty important reasons, I think. But perhaps that was slightly at the back of my mind when I realized Alex didn't have a name. Yeah.
I like it, and the kind of narrative devices that you can play with as well. Now there's a question about setting that I just saw, and that leads to something that I want to ask you around. Obviously, it was so real, so immersive and atmospheric. This is from Kristen, and that she felt that she'd been there. Yeah, same. Even though I haven't. How important was place, and was it in is it any specific locations inspired? So the Kapiti Coast, I know you went as a child. Was
Yeah,
it
yeah.
this isn't the question that it was it ever set anywhere else? Or was
No,
it
no.
yeah.
It was very much that beach and that house and that year actually, that summer of 1985. Yeah. We stayed in a house exactly really like I've described in it. It's still there. And it was just a fantastic summer. It was one of the happiest times of my life. We spent a lot of time on the Kapiti Coast growing up, either in Waikanae or Raumati. Um, yeah, it was always going to be that location. Yeah.
Amazing. Was there any pressure? I don't think so, but I just want to check. Was there any pressure from international editors to change the location or make it
No,
less Kiwi? Well done. That
no,
happens,
not at
by the
all.
way.
Yeah,
Team Aotearoa, that does happen.
yeah.
So yeah.
No, I think my agent thought it was a strength of the book, and in fact,
Which
for book two, she wanted a really strong New Zealand setting. Yeah.
mhm.
The only thing I got was an American editor that in the end I decided not to go with, who said, that's right, she said, oh, it was a bit annoying how you kept mentioning Christmas in the middle of summer.
Oh, like just like there's the funny things.
Strange Christmas, right? And I thought, oh,
What a thing to, you know
yeah,
what?
I mean,
Oh,
well, okay, but also a 10-year-old is not going to go through summer in New Zealand and not mention Christmas. So that was just, yeah. But
oh.
anyway, we didn't go with that editor. And my editor in America, no, they were absolutely wonderful. And they published it really as it was, even to there were things I would have been happy to change actually, but I was never asked to change them. And I was interviewed by an American who asked me what jandals are. And she had gone through the whole book thinking jandals were no, I'm sorry. She asked me what togs were, and she had gone
Oh.
through the whole book thinking togs were shoes.
Shoes, right.
Yeah.
I think like clogs or something because just it must have been so you weren't even with the American edition, you didn't need to change those kind of that
No,
terminology. So
no.
we mentioned before that you sometimes have different editors for your different territories, and it can get really, and I'm really thinking about that now because I've got a character who's New Yorker but lived in New Zealand throughout her teens and has moved back to New York and is quite
Mm,
dislocated. And I'm like, wow, I'm really shooting straight down the middle here for like
yeah.
Kiwis to understand like the language she
Yes.
uses, but
Yeah.
also for an American audience. But it's the
Mm,
interesting thing, y'all, when you're like traveling, if you pick up a copy in, say, the UK, or if you're in the States anytime soon, you can pick up a copy of the book and it won't be exactly the same. And I that struck me. Then it's something I love the Jandals. Yeah, it's so clearly in New Zealand. It struck me that there's never something I didn't realize until I became a published author. There's never really truly the manuscript, like the one, as in, because each territory will have like slight differences and changes, and that's one of the things that I know I didn't expect. There's no one true thing. But what I wanted to ask you, which sort of is tangentially connected to that, is I heard in an interview that you had, and you're like 12, and like someone told you were going to be a
Oh
writer, like a
yeah,
teacher.
yeah.
And I think you've also said, correct me if I'm wrong, that you maybe not then, but that you wanted to be a writer. So like when you were
Mm.
a kid. How different is it to be a writer, to be one of the, I think they call it, I think I read in like the Herald or something, vanishingly few authors in New Zealand who can write full time for, and that's a whole
Mm.
other conversation.
Mm.
It's an absolute privilege. It's also
Mm.
really bloody tough, right? And who wants to hear that?
Yeah, no,
Who
no.
wants to hear that? But how different is what you, even so, maybe when you're a child, but also the 3 years the books I nearly said in the closet. It wasn't in the closet, in the drawer.
In the drawer, yeah.
How different is this life than what you thought
Mm.
it might be in your like
Mm.
moments?
I think like everything in life, like I don't feel like a writer yet, which
Mm. Well,
um
you are. Congratulations.
well, but
But
I don't, yeah, like when is that going to feel like something I feel qualified to call myself? Because I don't yet, and I'm interested in what you think of that. And please tell me it gets easier. But I feel, when I got the contract for the second book, I just felt like the imposter syndrome was off the charts, and I think, why do they think I can do that? What makes me qualified to do that? I've done it once. It feels like a complete fluke.
mm,
Um, so
yeah.
even though I'm living the life of the writer, I don't yet feel, I guess, completely kind of like I own it. And I'm wondering when that is going to happen. Maybe it'll be book two.
Well,
I don't know.
the famous sophomore book. Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
we won't spend too long on this, but the thing with imposter syndrome is it's not that I don't believe in it. I understand that it's a phenomenon. But the way I see it is you're not an imposter if you haven't done something before. You just haven't done it until you've done it. So
Yeah.
you haven't
Yeah.
written a book, and it's very different to
Yeah.
write a first book on your
Mm,
own and percolating, and everyone,
mm,
I'm assuming your friends would be like my dear friends were like, this is so cool, you weirdo. You're just like, when you could be doing something else, you're there and you're like writing and nobody's waiting for it. That second book
no.
is a job in a way that
Mm.
it's a great job, don't get me wrong, but it's
Yeah, it's a
it's it's a
wonderful
job,
job.
and you
Yeah.
have deadlines and you have accountability and you have stakes, financial
Mm,
stakes, as
mm,
well as
mm.
other things. So it's not imposter syndrome if you haven't done it. You just haven't done it. And once you've done it, you start feeling a little bit more like, oh, I know how to do that. And
Yeah.
it's like I don't really like the term, but we're baby authors, and like I'm
Mm.
quite rapidly I'm like a dog. I'm aging out of quite quickly out of that. I just got a puppy, everyone. So like puppies are on the brain. Like when do
Yeah.
they how quickly do they grow up, or not? So I talked to authors. There's an Australian author, Emily Maguire, a brilliant author, and so she's someone, and then there's she who told me like just you'd get to 20,000 words, and if it's not working, put it away and start something else, like just because it means, but not forever.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily prescriptive, but it is something I'm like, oh yeah, if this isn't working, it's
Mm,
okay. I haven't wasted
mm,
anyone's time. I haven't. I will come back to
mm,
this at a later date.
mm,
Oh my God, you are so
mm.
a legit writer. Thank you, so welcome. Exactly. Uh,
Yeah,
this
I think
is,
I think it's the uncertainty of writing that I need to learn to love.
and you're a key, and you know what? You're a Kiwi. We're a little bit like, I always say I don't want to be faux humble. Like I know like my book did well, and but also I feel exactly, I have felt,
Mm,
continue to feel all of the same things.
mm,
I don't
mm.
think we're big noters, but you were more than entitled to like call yourself a writer, and especially especially this week when you're on a deadline,
Yeah,
then you're a writer. If you're on a
yeah.
deadline, you're a writer. I love this question actually from Angela Turner, which is that she listened to the audiobook and she loved
Mm,
hearing Kiwi story narrated by a Kiwi accent because oof, they can get it really wrong. Poor
yeah,
things
yeah,
who
yeah.
have to try that one. So a Kiwi, amazing. But so
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
have you listened to the audiobook? Mm.
No, so it's the other thing that you don't expect when you dream of becoming a writer. I can't really look at it or listen to it, or it's like, I don't know, I'm too
Mm.
close to it still. Or they sent me the audition tapes for the audiobook.
Yeah.
Or they sent me her audition tape actually, and I thought her voice was great and perfect, and thought she was great, but I couldn't stand hearing my words read out there. I was
Really?
like,
Oh no, I want to change
um,
that. Yeah. Like the constant
yeah, yeah,
editor. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm still in that like kind of cringe mode about that kind of thing, but uh, I'm glad that someone is enjoying it, and I did think she was the perfect sort of voice, young and Kiwi, and yeah.
Yeah. I know it's something a lot of readers are always interested in is how much say you have in that kind of thing. So that's a really good example. You got to listen to
Yeah,
some, but
yeah.
you didn't get to go, I want, Anna Paquin or
They did
something
ask
like
me
that.
sort of what kind of voice w would you like, and I did say, a youngish woman, and I said I used as an example the actress whose name has just flown out of my head, Miranda
Yeah.
Harcourt's daughter.
Oh yes. Yes, I can see her
Uh,
face. Yeah.
yeah,
Ca-
yeah.
Oh, two authors who are exhausted, by
Someone
the
put
way.
it in the comments. Yeah.
She,
I said
yes.
someone like that because I think because I could sort of. Oh, well, I suppose I
Thomas
thought
and Mackenzie, thank you.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hillary Clifton, who I
That's
keep
right.
reading as Hillary Clinton. I hope you don't mind. I see that and I'm like, yeah,
Oh, yeah, Hillary Clifton. Yeah.
well done.
So
Um,
they took that and ran with it, and I think they nailed it. Yeah, with Ruby, I think her
her
name is,
sister.
and she's great.
Amazing. Yeah, I had to send just as an anecdote, I had to send for my second book, which Leave the Girls Behind It, has like teenager New Zealander and stuff. But also I think with Ruby, with my first book, I had to end up sending when they did the audition tapes, like Margot Robbie talking on
Oh
David
yeah.
Letterman and stuff to say Aussies of this age, this is more what they sound like. They're not like, hey, how you going, mate? Kind of like Ruby doesn't
Yeah, yeah.
like it's really interesting how much you have to kind of say, no, they just
Mm,
sound I don't know, sort of like an
mm,
international accent or something,
yeah,
not
yeah.
everyone's sounding like Steve Irwin or something, or
That's right.
I don't know, over
Yeah.
here, Jermaine Clements or something, like the Kiwi
Yes,
thing.
yeah.
And although that could be fun as well, having it read by
That could
someone.
be actually, yeah.
I did see. Oh, well, I know. So we've got there about, would you like to see your book get adapted to a show or movie? Well, would you like to see your show adapted? And
Um,
what can you tell us about that?
yeah. The book is probably going to be made into a movie. Yes. There is a team working on it, and there is a script which I haven't yet had the chance to
Wow.
read, but
Forever,
yes.
that is to progress, that's really quick, really, for it to
It is
be.
quick, isn't it? Yeah, I was really
Mhm.
super impressed by that. It got New Zealand Film Commission funding for that stage, and it has on board
Wow, exactly.
Eniki Karo, the director who made
Hmm. Whale
Whale Rider,
Rider.
which I loved, and Finola Dwyer, who made Brooklyn and Education. So she's made films from books before very successfully. So hopefully those two women can get it across the line. I know it's just the most complex,
Yeah,
drawn out
how
process.
I think people are, I guess, like sort of peek behind the curtain stuff. I mean, how involved do you get to
Mm,
be in these early stages at least? Like,
yeah.
what's your experience of the adaptation been?
So I didn't want to write a script and didn't push that, and I'm not sure that that was on the table either. I think
Yeah.
I met on Zoom with Nikki, and she just had such an amazing grasp of the novel, and I just knew it was in good hands. I mean, that was my decision, but I just thought she was fabulous for it. She knew the location. She's a Kiwi. I just really connected with her, and she connected with it. So I was happy to like let it go. And that is the one good thing as well. Like when I'm talking about what it feels like to be published, and maybe sometimes it's not everything you imagined. It is actually really healthy to be able to just like let it go and say, I'm working on something else now. That is her project. I trust them. I think it'll be great. The only
Will you
my
have a
only big
part?
like I'm putting my foot down thing was when I said I did want it set in New Zealand, and that's really why Nikki ended up doing the project, because I didn't want to move to America, or, I just feel for this story and this book, the location is actually really important.
Hmm.
Um, it is a really New Zealand story.
Yeah, so there's,
Yeah.
and that sort of, that goes back to, with like choosing covers, choosing narrators. There's not a lot of the lot that you can control, but there are, you do have is it autonomy?
Well,
I'm not
especially
sure.
if you have a good agent, I think,
Yes, but
yeah.
we haven't really discussed that. So for those of us, I mean, the first story I heard about you was I went to Ellen and Unwin. We share, we're in the same family, Jennifer and I. Ellen and Unwin in Australia and New Zealand, and I had a meeting with them about something, and they said, oh, there's there's a Kiwi author, and I think they probably said, do you know her? Like, you know how it is, like, oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, we went to school together. No, and then they mentioned that your book was brilliant, and I got to read an early copy of it, out the
Oh,
back of that conversation, yes, and
lovely.
loved it. But also they mentioned your agent was Felicity Blunt, and I was just like,
Mm,
I knew, because as being in the industry, um, just how hard it is to land. So for anyone who's not
mm.
aware, Felicity Blunt would be like, look, if you were to look up like, the best agents, um, in the world, really, yeah, literary agents, Felicity's going to be right up there. She's incredibly high
Oh,
profile.
she's great. Yeah.
And so that experience, that yes, that you got from
Oh,
Felicity
yes, that
Blunt,
yes,
and
that
I
yes.
that yes, because there's a lot that comes after that. And the first yes, I'm
Mm,
just clarifying for everyone here that that first yes from an agent doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a yes from
no.
you go out on submission. It's horrendous.
Mm, mm,
It's horrendous. You wait to
mm.
that means your agent takes it out to their contacts in the publishing industry, and then but obviously, if your agent's one of the best in the world, it's probably going to be a fairly smooth process. Like
It
what, yeah,
was.
what was it? But did
Yeah.
you have any idea how it worked? Because I think you might have,
No,
you didn't have any idea how it worked.
no, 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 no. I was
Have you-
totally,
Did you know it
uh,
was rare though? Did you at least kind of have enough
yes.
people telling you like I should hate
Oh,
you for
yes.
this? Like it's
Yeah.
so incredible.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, yeah, I knew. Yes. So I had a 12-month plan to try and get the book published, and the first step was to send it to agents overseas,
Yeah.
just because I actually thought that was very unlikely to happen. And so I'll do that first, as at that point, I was still editing the novel. Um, So I thought, nothing to lose. I'll send it to some agents overseas and they'll say no, and I'll keep working on it. And then I had all these other steps along the way.
Mhm.
And
And was
I sent,
Felicity in that bunch, that
yeah, I
first?
sent it to four. I mean, it wasn't a huge, I sent it to
Yeah.
four agents. Two of them rejected it. One was Felicity, and one I've never heard back from.
Yeah.
So that's, how it goes. And Felicity it, she was fast. It had sat with her for maybe a couple of weeks, and then she'd obviously found it. I got two emails on a Friday night saying, could you send the rest? And I realized she wanted to read it that
On the
weekend. And
weekend, yeah.
oh my gosh, I just freaked out.
Yeah.
She was
Oh,
still editing
what
it.
did you,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, well, you were
yeah.
still editing.
So
Well
I
done.
was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I sent it to her finally at about 11 p.m. on a Saturday, which was her like 10 a.m. on the
Yeah.
Saturday. And she read it that weekend, and she was by the following Saturday I was signed up. Yeah.
Far
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an extra congratulations, by the way. The
Thank you.
book is brilliant. That is makes you a unicorn, and it's almost impossible to stress what a unique it is an achievement, like what a unique achievement of to be a Kiwi chick as well, like from Aotearoa to land that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
to get. I
lovely.
hate that we use language like all they do on the internet, like trenches, the in the trenches or whatever. But
Yeah,
that's where
yeah.
most people stay for a long
I
time.
know.
So
I know.
congratulations. That's
Well, I'll tell you what, the reason I think that work, that pitch to her is that I didn't go to her because she was this huge agent. I didn't actually know that much about her. Um, I found a description she'd written online somewhere of what she was looking for, and it
yeah,
matched my book,
yeah.
really.
You're
She
like
said that she said she was a huge fan of Daphne du Maurier. I was a huge fan of Daphne du Maurier. It just felt like,
fate.
oh, yeah, kindred
Yeah.
spirits. And so that was what it was. And I just followed the online submission guidelines. There was no secret code word or anything like that.
Nice. Yeah.
I think it was really just make sure that you are pitching your project to someone who wants a project like that.
Exactly right, but also be if it's not the right time, sometimes it's just not even it doesn't even reach them. There's
Yes.
assistance, and I mean, I chose my agent because she was pretty, and I don't mean that in the sense of like shallow. I was really sad. It was New Year's Eve, and my dad had just died, and I looked at this list of
Oh,
12 agents who were from the UK, like wanting, or UK in the States, wanting what they were looking for, and obviously there were things she said in her blurb that about what she's looking for that made me connect with her, but it was her
mm,
face. I just
mm,
looked at her and
mm.
I was like, and then from the moment we started talking, I call her my head witch,
Oh,
because
nice.
like she is like literally, I was so tired last night to send her an email. I tried to find her address by putting in head witch. I'm like, no, she's not actually Cara. But you sometimes I don't know about fate and things, but the yeah, that journey for you, it just really needs to be celebrated, and
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm
Yeah, it's
really proud for
brilliant.
you and for Kiwi
Thanks.
writers. Now we're going to get into some spoiler territory because I did see a question about yeah, Kahu leaving as Punamu. um
Mm.
what are I've got some questions about the ending, and I think probably put an emoji, a wave hand or whatever if people have questions. The ending exactly. So I want to know, did you ever have a different ending? And was it always the ambiguity, let's call it, but we'll let
Mm.
you use your
Yeah.
own terms. Did you ever write a solid, like I call them the
No.
mwahaha moments where the person gets caught and
No.
it's all explained?
No.
No?
No. Because I think because I knew I was limited to what Alex as a 10-year-old could witness and understand. And I also had this idea, it came very much from the idea that you grow up and you look back at your childhood and there are memories you have and you can't figure out whether they are real or you've imagined them or you've pieced them together from photographs and things people have told you. And maybe your mother might tell you one thing and your sister will tell you another thing. And because you were young, you just can't figure out what's real. And I wanted to capture that. And I was working on this idea that Alex grows up and maybe becomes a writer and looks back and tries to figure out what happened that crazy summer.
Mm,
Um, so for the book to then extend into like a police investigation or it would
yeah.
just ruin that for me.
And I think I know the answer will certainly with your agent that you weren't pressured to do that. But when you spoke to any of the editors, like the who were pitched, so what happens, I think, yeah, is that you go from wanting people to choose you to
Mm,
then when editors,
mm,
meaning the people working at the publishing houses, they do have different names in different places, but we'll call them the editors, then they pitch to you, which is
mm.
crazy, by the way. You go from wanting
Yeah,
something
yeah, it
so
is. Yeah.
badly, and then
I
they're
was
like,
so confused.
they have these meetings with you where they're telling you about what they can do with your book, but therein lies the
Yeah,
important bit is that you can get your head really turned by how exciting it
yeah.
is. But sometimes
Mm,
they have very different, sometimes they don't like
mm,
Christmas, and they're like, we have to she obviously
mm.
was
Yeah,
like,
that's right. Yeah,
so did
yeah.
anybody want a diff so I was once told no
Uh,
one wanted a dead girl narrator, and I'm like, I'm not going to change that, so would just
no,
not. So did anyone
yeah.
try to change the ending?
Yeah, there were some comments that did turn my head, as you say, and I got into a confusion about certain things, and in the end, just before the final edit, I went back and changed it all back to what I
Just
had
want to
in the
know.
first place. Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't massive stuff, but it was. So some editors really had a few were really horrified with the way I left Vanessa on the
Mm,
beach.
I, mm-hmm.
They were like, you can't leave her there like that. And I thought, I'm sorry, but I can,
Yeah, and I
because that
will. Yeah.
is to me like what happened to so many women and probably still happens, unfortunately. And if we can't deal with that, my God, we're kidding ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
This was the 80s, and she has a bad first sexual experience. Is that really so shocking? I don't know. I just felt, and I also don't think that Alex, a 10-year-old, could rescue her sister from that situation. I just don't think a 10-year-old would have the wherewithal to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of know that because I've been 10, and I had older sisters, not that they were ever in that situation, thank God, but you're scared, and Vanessa would have been mortified as well. There's so much embarrassment and pride, and like, just go away. I don't want you to see this.
And I mean,
No 16-year-old wants to be rescued by her
it's just,
10-year-old
well, yeah,
sister.
I read that and kind of in the metaphoric way of severing the relationship or severing the childhood, like the childhood Vanessa from the adult or the young
Yeah,
adult Vanessa,
yeah,
because it wasn't, yeah, neatly done that she sort of got up and ran away. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I remember being shocked when very real, resonate with other young people. Yeah. I remember when I first read that, and I just recently read it again, I was like, I I hadn't forgotten. I remembered it. And I was like, I'm getting to the end of the book, and there's like a sand dunes piece. Where is it? And then it came up, and I was like, she doesn't get up. She doesn't
No,
get up. And I
no.
think it's a brave choice. And especially when this is one of the questions I had, and then I'm gonna get back to Kahu and the phenomenon because I was really sad about something. Um, is this I had heard you say it in an interview as well in my research, that they thought she was too full on, Vanessa. Is like, am I
Oh
that,
yeah,
yeah.
Felicity thought she was awful. And the first edit that Felicity read, she said, "Oh my God, Vanessa's so awful. Can you make her a little bit less awful?" And I thought, gosh, Felicity, because she's got sisters too. They
Yeah.
must have been very polite to each other.
Well, maybe she doesn't. I mean, one of her sisters is Emily Blunt, the actress, and so maybe she's just
Yes,
like maybe she's like
yeah.
the Blunt
I
sisters were not like the sisters in this novel.
no.
But I one of the things that struck me just because I've just had editorial notes from Australia, but
Hmm.
was the I had written in a small town New Zealand, like party, bad things happen, um some of the things that I'd written, the feedback was like, oh, but that he's too old. He's like 22 and she's 17. And I found that so hard to I had to really explain to them, this small
Yeah.
town in New Zealand I lived in,
Oh
like
yeah.
that's nothing. I'm not saying
No.
that's good, bad, or
No.
otherwise. And certainly in the novel it's used for a dramatic purpose. But one of
Hmm.
the things I wondered was, yeah, that when I heard you talk about Vanessa was that sort of
Mm,
the cultural, because you're working with
mm,
people that you didn't grow up with, you don't have the same
mm,
background as,
hmm.
and yeah, the pressure to change Vanessa, or I don't know if it's pressure, but the idea that
Yeah.
she's too horrible just cracks me up really, because I'm like, have you not met like
Yeah.
us?
But she was more horrible. So what you see
No,
now is actually the tone down. I
yeah,
think sometimes you do need a reader to just, sometimes as a writer, you aren't quite sure where things are landing. And yeah, I think I've learned that perhaps I do sometimes push it too far in the first draft, but that's okay because it's easier perhaps to pull it back than to.
do you like writing like nasty or
I do
mean? Like I
actually.
do as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I go too far as well. I'm
Yeah.
like, what is
I
that?
do
I
too.
don't know. I'm
I don't
assuming
know.
doesn't seem like you're like that in real life. I'm like,
I
yeah,
know. And
like
Felicity said that. She's like, but you're such a nice person. I do like writing sort of nasty characters or people behaving badly. Yeah, I
yeah.
guess.
Probably some theories that we'll need a whole nother session for. Maybe we'll do therapy with Jacqueline
Yeah.
Bublitz. The question I loved because I feel really sad that Kahu and
Mm,
Alex and don't they and I went back again today just to make sure.
mm.
And I was like, hang on, where's the last time they see each other is after the police
Yeah.
like take him
Yeah.
away,
Yeah.
take him home, and they don't cross paths
Mm,
again, but he did leave his
mm.
pounamu at the memorial. So the question that came up was, who was he leaving it for? Was it for Charlotte? Was
Yeah,
it
I
for
mean,
Alex? What
I do
was
believe
it for
that the
you to not be too sad as the author?
I do believe that the reader completes the story, but in my mind, he left it for her for sure. Yeah, I think so. Um,
Yeah.
yes, I
For
do think it.
Alex, like
But
he
yeah,
knew that she would go
absolutely,
back
she would
and
go back. However, I also think he would be happy if it ended up with Charlotte's mother as well.
yeah, she
So
was such a beautifully like such a beautiful
yeah,
example of a character who's on the periphery but so
mm.
finely sort of drawn. Another, yeah,
Oh,
like
good.
with the
Yeah.
flowers and the but also through a
Well,
child's
I'm a
voice.
mother, and I thought if how would you leave that place? How would you? Yeah, I don't know how people
Yeah,
survive.
the
Yeah,
idea that she would just, I mean, she almost
go
has her
home.
own
Yeah.
story that, I mean, like, I don't
Mm.
know about you, but like, I'll never write them ever, but I spin my characters off into like universes and I have sequels and things. It's not ever gonna like happen if they don't write fast enough. But like, that's a character that struck me as like a bouncing off point to like a whole other
Mm.
story is
Oh.
that woman. Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's like they didn't get each other's address. It's like, will they see each other
Yeah.
again?
So
Yeah.
so again, like that, I was trying to be realistic to the time because you just didn't have any way of keeping in touch. You didn't have text messages, you didn't have Facebook, and
And
people slipped out of your life, and that was it.
even
And
the pen pals, right? Even pen pals, because all you had to
yeah,
do was
even pen
move
pals.
address.
I had a couple of pen pals, not boys, I must admit. So I was trying, it's brutal, but yeah, and that sort of summer holiday connection that actually, if they saw each other
They would
again
be.
in their normal lives, would it be the same? I don't
Yeah,
know.
because they'd already had a slight sort of,
And they're going to go into
yeah,
adolescence and it's going to get awkward and weird. And I think it was
yeah.
just a perfect moment between them and we can just leave it there, maybe.
We
I don't
can leave it there. Bob Hooper, I got his name right, right? Bob Hooper.
know. Yes, I think so.
Yes, Bob Hooper. We don't really learn his name either. Mr. Creeper across the
Mr. Hoover, yeah,
neighbor.
it is. Yeah.
We'll just call him the Creeper. Do you know what he did or did not do? You as the author.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah. So that's
Yes, sadly, I do. Yes.
yes. Do
There are clues in the book. There are clues in the book as to where Charlotte is.
yeah. Oh, hang on a minute. Like where
Yeah,
she
yeah, there are.
is.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
yeah.
is. Yeah.
Like I got like goosebumps there. That's like how what like okay,
There are
anybody?
clues. There are clues.
Oh, exactly. So I've not
You
heard you
have to
say
read
that.
it again.
No, well, yeah, I will once I've like yeah, finished
You have
like
to read
what
it again. Yeah, there.
there
I
are
think it's
clues.
kind of obvious.
I don't
But
it
but no one
yeah.
else has ever picked it up. Okay, but they're
Now I
there, I
feel now
promise.
I'm actually really competitive, everybody, and now I feel really annoyed. I'd like to be like, I have this theory. I don't, and I guess I was so like invested like twice over. Anybody there got a theory? Anybody know where she is? That is a brilliant
So
answer.
I think Bob is unraveling in the book. I think he's had this creepy pastime of
There's paving stones in his yard. There was a
there. She's
shovel.
got it. She's got it.
Who
She's got
is
it.
that,
Angela
Angela?
Turner.
Oh.
You're the only
Didn't
person who's
expect it. Well,
ever
there's two
noticed that.
there. We've got two Angelas. So the Angelas, Angela, uh, there was some paving stones in there. Oh, or is it to say, yeah, well done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
two. Wow,
very
the
messy
Angelas.
yard.
Yeah, right. So she's there.
I think
Yeah,
so.
I love
Yeah.
that. I mean, like Easter eggs, like with Taylor Swifty or something. Not that she invented them anyway. They used to put them in the DVDs when you would like watch. They would have Easter eggs about the story and stuff. So, any other hidden? You don't have to tell us what they are necessarily, but any other
I'm just
hidden
really
things?
going to turn the light on. It never occurred to me that this would be dark.
And it's funny because I was going to turn mine off because I look like
There
a
we go.
tomato. I look like a tomato.
Um,
I look like a
oh, now
tomato.
I look
That's
strange.
better.
Yeah. I look blue. Sorry.
We do care
Um,
what we look like, us authors, when we have to like get out of our pajamas to speak to people.
I know. I sent so many messages this afternoon saying, "Do I have to do my hair or not?"
Yep.
Other Easter eggs. I don't think so. No, I think that was the main one. I mean, I think there are sort of clues in that final scene in the car as to where the family's going to go. Um, and by that I mean like I think it's obvious that they're trying to fix it, the husband and the wife.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And then
but
she's but then
so
what
I don't think they're going to break up.
consequence? Yeah, what consequences of that affair? They were
I know,
that's some pretty hefty consequences.
very, yeah,
As well. I'm just so as a mother, was Alex
yeah.
being in the danger she was in difficult to
No, it was so much
This
fun.
is
It was so much
the
fun.
darkness. Don't judge us,
Yeah,
people,
that
but
was
yeah,
fun. Yeah. No, that
yeah.
was an adventure that I was on. When I'm writing the 10-year-old character, I am that person. And it was so exciting. Yeah. It was fun.
Someone's gonna have to read it again sooner. It's great to, I mean, I love reading a book a second and third and fifth time. One of
Yeah,
the
so do
things
I.
we've got a 5 more minutes. I've got like a little tradition that I'm gonna introduce in a minute to the, and you're the first. And we also have to choose the best question. But one of, I don't know, this may be just me because I've been on a Rob Reiner kick because of like the tragedy with Rob
Mm,
Reiner.
mm, mm,
Love of one of the great loves of my life in terms of the work
mm.
that he's done. I felt such Stand By Me vibes from
Ah,
her
yeah.
and
Mhm.
Alex searching for the body. Obviously younger, so it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
like Gordy and the crew. But
Mm,
yeah, so what I wondered, that's what I got from it, and I sort of, I mean, that's one of my favorite coming of age movies.
hmm
Story, and also based on a, obviously well, not obviously for people, a novel by Stephen King or a novella,
mm,
The Body. So are there any, you mentioned Rebecca, which I've never read, but well, that's another story as well.
mm,
Are there any sort of other less obvious inspirations where you're like, yeah, I had like a
mm.
lodestar or a touchstone when I was writing this?
So there's a book. It's a very old-fashioned book now, so I'm not really recommending you all rush out and read it. But it was called The Go-Between, and it was a book that my father recommended to me when I was like 12 or maybe a bit older, 14, and it just blew me away. That was really the inspiration. It's about a little boy. Well, he's 12, and he goes away and spends a summer with a family, and what's the word? He gets stuck in the middle of this adult affair. So he's the
Oh,
go-between between these two people
between.
having an affair. And it ends with this, it's got this explosive twist at the end. It's like, uh,
Wow.
I
Yeah.
love that book. And then the other book would be by Donna Tartt, The Little Friend. The
Oh,
Little
yes.
Friend.
Yeah.
Is that the
It's
one?
yeah.
Yeah. Again, a sort of precocious 12-year-old trying to solve the mystery of her brother's death, and very hot sort of summer novel. So those two novels, I think,
Perfect.
inspired it. Yeah.
Amazing. Now, while I'm looking for something here, this is what. So I don't know whoever's heard of the Proust. I'm being fancy here. Marcel Proust questionnaire. It's if you ever buy Vanity Fair magazine, in the back of the book
Oh
has
yeah, yeah, I
a
know that. Yeah.
bunch of questions.
Oh
And
gosh.
Proust didn't invent the questionnaire. It was a parlor game back in whenever he was a big deal as an essayist and novelist. But they say that answering these things reveals your true nature. So what I want to do with each guest while we're wrapping up and while I'm having a look at the questions is I want you to choose a number between 1 and 35, and I'm just going to choose that question because there's 35 questions.
Oh,
So just any number between 1 and 35, and I'll ask you the question.
12.
12. What is the quality, and that's like
Ah,
what is the quality you most like in a man?
it has to be a sense of humor, I think.
Sense of humor?
Yeah. My husband is very funny. He's always made me laugh, and we still laugh and chortle away all evening, and it's great. Yeah.
So I am circling that with you because you were my first person to answer that. Now I'm just trying to find the very first question. So you all asked amazing questions, by the way, and kept me on my toes, and also meant that I didn't have to ask half of mine. So thank you so much. So the only way I can do this tonight is it has to be the person who asked the first question, because you literally kicked off what I hope is a long and prosperous, and entertaining and informative relationship with talking with Kiwi authors in this way where we can be really open and honest and be like, what did you mean by that? Oh my God, her body is under the paving stones. Like you can't say that when you're sitting in front of a group of people who haven't read it yet. So
There's a question there I should probably answer.
Yeah, you answered that while I'm looking for.
Yeah, the racism that Alex's father
Mm.
suddenly. Yeah, I think that was really hard to. Well, I wanted that in the book. So when I was growing up, I thought New Zealand was perfect. I thought it was this
Mm.
utopia where we didn't. I thought we didn't have racism. I really did. And as I've grown up, I've realized I was just living in a bubble, and I feel almost embarrassed that I thought that. I know that I had friends who are Maori, friends who were Asian, who would have been facing racism, and I just didn't. I just didn't know. And so I didn't want to avoid that in the book. I wanted it to be there on the page. It's horrible, but it's true. And um, I think also at that time in New Zealand, there was perhaps a level of racism that was condoned towards
Mhm.
Asian people that wasn't condoned towards Maori people, and awful. So the father, he's not. Um, I don't think he's a monster, but yeah, it's monstrous what he says in that scene.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we do say not to ever make an excuse, but we do say monstrous things, don't we? Like real, if you're going to write a real character, they have to be ugly, and that can be. There's
yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
pressure to sanitize, and would the character
Well,
really say this?
yeah,
And it's like, I'm sorry, they're a jerk in this moment. They're an absolute asshole.
he's a
Yes,
jerk. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, 'cause,
yeah,
it's a tricky, it's a fine line.
yeah.
Sometimes I think you did it, but yeah, it's always a visceral shock when you hear.
I honestly do think it's one of the reasons it went into the drawer is that some of the stuff in the book I just like, oh, heavy, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
no problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
happy to answer
Where
that.
where did this hour go? This was thank you so so much, especially like
No,
I
thank
said,
you.
like this is
No,
when
it's
your
been great.
brain is somewhere else. So the very first question, and please correct me if I'm wrong, would be from Pivy. I'm so sorry if I'm not saying your name correctly. Pivy Griffiths. So what we need you to do is to if you're following us on the on the Facebook group, Libby Reads with Jacqueline Bublitz, pop your you can pop me a message there, like a DM. I think you can do that through the group, and we will make sure that we get you a signed copy and if not, find me at rightrock11 on Instagram and DM me there, and I'll make sure that while I work out the finer details of how we do this, just double checking that you, okay, yay, there you go, you got it, cool. All right, so Facebook, start with that, but if that doesn't work, find me at rightrock11 on Instagram because I'm just newly back to Facebook and sometimes don't remember how it works. Um, Thank you so so much. Thank you everybody who took time out on this.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
think it's a Wednesday. I think it's February. I know that it's summer because I'm melting. But I'm gonna go rescue my little 10, 11-week-old puppy from the crate in a moment. What are you about to do, Jennifer?
Take my contact lenses out and collapse.
Collapse. Well, enjoy the collapsing. Good luck with the deadline.
Thank you, Jacqueline, and
Uh,
thank you everyone for turning out tonight and all your
yeah,
questions and your lovely words. It's really so
yeah.
lovely to see all the
Oh,
people enjoying the book.
this is so cool. Thank you, everybody. All right, good night.
Thank you.
Marta, well, we'll see you. Keep up to date with us on the Facebook
Thank
page.
you.
See you
Bye.
again. Bye. I don't actually know how to quit this, so you're all gonna have to you're gonna have to quit me while I work that
Okay,
out.
I'm quitting you.
Bye. End webinar for all. See you later.